Welcome into the CHGO Bears Podcast, Rookie Minicamp edition. Day one recap show. We are ready to go. Adam Hoge, Mark Carman, Nicholas Moreano with you today as Greg Braggs Jr. let the entire world know all morning on Twitter. He was not at Halas Hall today, but he is with us in spirit. As always, we love him. We miss him. And he's actually been behind the scenes doing an awesome job all day, getting all the content we have out on social media. And there is a lot. So go check it out at CHGO_Bears on Twitter, at CHGO Sports _sports on Instagram. Good day to be subscribed. What do we call it? Just following us on Instagram, whatever it is. A lot of Caleb Williams videos up there for you to consume. And of course, as we have been all week and really since the draft, we are brought to you by Butcher Box. We love Butcher Box. I actually have, when we get done with this show, guys, I am going to be cooking up more steaks from Butcher Box because that's my plan here on a beautiful Friday in the Chicagoland area. And Butcher Box is offering our listeners an amazing offer where new users get free meat plus $20 off your first box. Join today using our link butcherbox.com/CHGO and use code CHGO to receive this exclusive offer today before time runs out. If you're relatively new with us, or it's just been a while since we've done a practice recap type of show, it felt great walking in to the building today. The sun was shining. You could smell football. You could tell the footballs were out of Tony Medlin's office. They were ready to go. They were going to be thrown around, and we got to watch actual practice today, even if it was just a bunch of rookies, 90% of them who won't even be here in a few days, having a practice out there, seeing Kevin Warren, seeing George McCaskey, seeing a bunch of people out there. It was a great day at Halas Hall. And as we like to start these practice recap shows, guys, best and worst of what we saw or heard today over at Halas Hall. Mark Carman, let's start with you.
So it was an amazing day, and just to see Caleb in the building with the jersey on, and then to see him on the field and the confidence. So the best is that for me. He was throwing balls from the far end of the field. I walked over and I just started videoing him, and I put it up. We've got videos all over the place on it, and I get it. He's just throwing lobs. There's no pass rush. There's no nothing. But they're just all just dropping in perfectly. And it's like, I don't know. We're in a different land. This is a whole other world right now. It feels different. It looks different. It was exciting, even at our day one rookie minicamp, which is amazing. And on the other side, just a little bit of some drops out there all over the field. Not to call out any day one rookie. You could bounce back tomorrow, but Shelton Zion, a UNLV 88. You were like the last guy in the Caleb video, and you dropped one. You ruined my perfect video. What the hell, Shelton? Come on, man. I was gonna really lean into it. And Troy University's Marcus Rogers, he had a little bit of trouble catching the football today. So I think it's noteworthy that my low is the fact that I'm looking for somebody to do something wrong, and I had to kind of search far and wide to find it.
Yeah, no, those are very similar to my best and worst, Mark, because I think the best for me was just seeing Caleb Williams throw the football. Like he throws the most spiral football that I've seen in a long time. It was consistently a spiral coming out of his hand. I think there was one pass over the middle of the field where it was slightly behind the receiver, led to an incomplete pass. But for the most part, Caleb Williams put the ball exactly where it needed to be. And it was sometimes some of the playmakers not, making the reception, but spiral, accurate, put the ball where it needed to be. That's my best. And the worst was, I think, those tight ends. There were two tight ends I had to drop. You mentioned one of them there, Mark, but Brendan Bates and then also Shelton Zion. The two tight ends, this is a team where a third tight end realistically could make it. And Steven Carlson is not a lock by any means, but they didn't make the most out of their day one because of the drops that they had in the 7-on-7 period. So looking for hopefully a bounce back from just that position group to make more of an impact. But yeah, best Caleb just throwing accurate passes, and the worst, those drops from the tight ends.
So I think the good thing about all those names that you're talking about with the drops is all of those names you just mentioned, except for Brendan Bates, are just rookie tryout players. They're not even signed as to actual undrafted free agent contracts right now. So not a lot to sweat about, and that in itself is kind of a good thing. But I am going to also go down. I think everybody's expecting me to talk about the punter here, best and worst. I'm not going to go completely on brand yet. But I did note, guys, for my best, the first bad pass that I saw from Caleb Williams, I actually wrote down the time. It was at 1:04 p.m. today. Was the first pass of Caleb Williams with a Bears helmet and practice jersey on, wearing 18, where I said, yeah, that wasn't the greatest play made by the quarterback. But for context, the reason why that's the best is because practice started at 12:20. So that was 44 minutes from the time that first horn went off. And granted, some of that stretching and individuals, but in that entire time, it was nothing but darts and beautiful moon balls. And I think we have some of the video, might even be on I haven't checked every single thing we've put up there on Twitter and Instagram, but there was a session of go balls, and it was just pass after pass after pass in the same exact spot, and none of them hit the ground until one of those tight ends you just mentioned just dropped one. So it was a long stretch of really, really good throws from Caleb Williams. And the only reason why I think that's worth taking note of is because that's what it's supposed to look like in these practices where it's a lot of 7-on-7 and no one's trying to rip your head off. And for too long, we've had these times where you've had these weird days of practice where like, this is supposed to look great, and for some reason it doesn't. Why is it so choppy? It wasn't just him throwing to Odunze, which, by the way, did look awesome most of the time. But it was him throwing to everybody, including these random guys that are just trying out that aren't going to be here in a few days. So I thought that was really, really encouraging, that it looked that good for so long at the start of practice. And then for my worst, guys, if I'm going to talk up this punter and tell you how good he is, and I'm going to have to hold him to a high standard. And I don't know what was going on with Tory Taylor at the start of practice today. There was a couple shanks in there. I mean, it looked like my 7-iron just spraying left and right on a par 3, not hitting the green. I don't know what's going on, but, and a big but, the ones in between those shanks were unbelievably, like, they look like Caleb Williams deep balls. Like, they were just a perfect spiral, bomb down the field. So I'm not worried about it at all. But I did want to beat Carm to the jump on that, because I knew at some point in the show he'd bring it up as like something to panic about.
Well, yeah, and I am panicked because Hoge apparently needs to go back to school because he said it was a couple of shanks. It wasn't a couple. It was a handful. It wasn't just 2.
I counted 4. I counted 4 that I didn't like. And then I counted at least as many, if probably more, that were great.
He was booming them. There's no doubt. And he's tall and he looks good and he's got he holds the form beautifully. Like, I really like, there's an extension there that excites me about a Tory Taylor. But there are a lot of shanks there. And I'm telling you, because you're listening to the CHGO Bears podcast on Friday at 3:11 p.m. on May the 10th, we're going to get a shank. Tory Taylor's going to shank one this season, maybe more than one. If you can't do that on May 10th and go perfect in the regular season, I'm warning you, Tory Taylor's going to shank one. And I'm going to say, I told you so, Hoge. You're savior of the Bears.
No. The savior of the Bears is the quarterback, but the Caleb Williams of punters is the guy that the Bears got in Tory Taylor. So that's why I put it down as my worst. I am going to hold him to that standard. Yeah, I'm here to do it.
Well, it's a thing.
I'm also here to tell you I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Look, it's amazing though, the talent level, because you expect perfection from Caleb. Yeah. We're expecting perfection from Tory Taylor, and when they don't do it, it's kind of like, oh.
And no one expects perfection from you. I mean, that's
correct.
That's a great point.
I have one of the great strategies in life, which is set the bar low, and then you can gradually crawl over it. That's what I do.
Yeah. best and worst of the day. Great to get those back in there. It felt good. Felt nice. It's always fun to talk about. I also wanted to give my favorite quote of the day because I was thinking about Braggs a lot. You know, Braggs posted on Twitter this morning that he's literally depressed that he couldn't be at Rookie Minicamp. So he was on my mind a lot today. I don't want him feeling that way. He's our teammate. But I hope that he still listened intently to the press conference. I think there's a lot he can learn from Caleb Williams. There was this quote that I really enjoyed. Caleb Williams was asked about his leadership. And right now he said, you know, and this is something he said before, in order to lead, you have to follow first. But he went on to say, and this is a direct quote, I'm going to put on a t-shirt for Greg Braggs to wear. It says, I'm listening, having both ears open and my mouth shut.
Yeah.
That'd be tough.
I thought that, quite frankly, that Caleb was talking directly to Greg.
Yeah.
And that he's been following the CHGO Bears podcast.
He
and
probably has.
Yeah. And has noticed that, you know, some people do have their ears open and are great teammates, and others just talk and scream and talk and do all that type of stuff. So I thought it was a great message for Greg, and I appreciated Caleb bringing that to the table. It was basically the most perfect thing you can say, though, right? I know we have it here.
I don't think we're going to play the sound later. We're going to hold that off. But
Okay,
I did want to bring the, you know, one of my favorite quotes of the day. And we have a lot of sound coming up from Flus talking about Caleb. But I also just sort of wanted to set the scene a little bit. And it wasn't just us, I think, noticing this, but even Matt Eberflus walking up to the podium to start the day made note of how many people were in there. And for a rookie mini camp, I mean, this was it had a little bit different vibe, Nick, than a random Wednesday at Halas Hall last season, I think. In all the years I've been doing this, cannot recall a security presence in a press conference at Halas Hall. Now, game days, when they're, you know, shuttling between the locker room and they're in a public stadium and all that stuff, sure, all the time. That's actually pretty standard protocol. But inside the walls of Halas Hall, to actually have a security presence kind of following Caleb around, I mean, that was different for me and kind of put things into perspective just of how different this whole thing is. Now, I think it'll die down a little bit. Like, this was his first practice. There's a lot of excitement. I'm not sure it'll look at like the same thing at the third open OTA here a month from now or whatever. But even Flus acknowledged, like, the energy. The energy is different at Halas Hall right now. And I think we all felt it today.
Yeah, I mean, Mark and I were talking about that when we were walking to the practice field, like acknowledging how many cameras were just in the back row there, and then how many seats were also filled as well. And, you know, that could be, I mean, it might die down, but like if the Bears are good throughout the season, I don't see why that all just magically goes away if the Bears are winning football games now. Like, now there's even more of an incentive to want to be around Caleb Williams. And, you know, I also think that, you know, having 2 top 10 picks also brings a little bit more of that attention that is required to, you know, for the Bears organization, with Odunze also being there. But it's different. And it was different when they had their introductory press conferences as well. Like, it was shoulder to shoulder with everybody in that press conference room. So I think if all goes as according to plan, where the Bears are good, like, the attention is just going to keep on growing.
Exactly. And, you know, if you go back in time, you had 3, it's totally different in the NFL because they bring you up to the press conference table and whatnot. But, you know, and I don't want to MJ Caleb, but the media would be waiting in line to talk to Jordan post game when the game was going on in the first quarter. That's when they would start lining up. And then there'd be 3 waves going through. This is not the same thing, but the doors open today for us at 10 o'clock. The press conference was at 11. I'm like, and I was getting there at 10:20. I'm like, I think I might not be able to get a seat because it's just going to be that different. Like, this is if they go where we all think they can go, should go, however you want to phrase it, it's a totally different world right now. you're going to have one of the, fingers crossed again, but you're going to have one of the premier players in the league that people here nationally are going to want to talk to, and they're going to be winning a lot more games than we've ever been used to. So it is a different land, and the security call out by you, I didn't notice it myself, but that's a good pay attention by Hoge.
Yeah, it was just it wasn't a big deal. It wasn't like there was the royal guard of Carm and Braggs standing at the door. But, one of the awesome security guys that the Bears have, and they all do a phenomenal job. I have a lot of respect for them, was there in the room and sort of just hovering, just making sure everything's okay. And that was different for me. And I get it, because the energy is there. And speaking of energy, we have a great energy partner. I don't know if you guys know about this, but ComEd. ComEd's great, and it's been getting easier for businesses to switch to electric vehicles. That's something we can all get behind for the health of the planet and for the well-being of all of us who share it.
Yeah, Adam, the electric grid is evolving to meet your cleaner energy needs as we all move with confidence towards an electric tomorrow. Whether you have one delivery van or a whole fleet of shipping trucks, ComEd can help guide you to make the changes that make sense.
So what should business owners do, Nick?
Yeah, they can go to ComEd.com/clean to learn more about the resources, fleet rebates, and infrastructure incentives available to help businesses go electric. If you own a business, don't wait. Start making your plan today to switch to electric vehicles. Good for business, good for the planet, good for all of us. Go to ComEd.com/clean.
Did you say ComEd.com/clean?
It's exactly what I said. Go now and see how going electric connects us to a better way of doing business and a better future for generations to come.
And a shout out to our friends at CD1 Price Cleaners, the low prices you deserve. 30% off your dry cleaning bill, and that's what you get when you switch to CD1 Price Cleaners. Other cleaners, different price for every garment. No, that's not how they do it at CD1 Price Cleaners. One low price for everything, including your Caleb Williams jerseys. Fast turnaround, too. You can get it back the next day. You can get it back the same day. You'll get a text when your garment is available. And by the way, in addition to dry cleaning, wash and fold laundry, blankets and comforters, they do tailoring, they do leather cleaning, they do area rug cleaning. They've got it all. This is what you want to do. Visit chgo.cd1.com. And once you're there, you can pick from an in-store coupon to get a further discount or an online pickup and delivery coupon options as well. They got it all for you. You'll be happy you did it. CD1 Price Cleaners, chgo.cd1.com.
So before the draft, I made a bet with Carm that whenever the question was asked, and I'm surprised it took this long, and we're going to talk about that here in a second too. And whenever, just check the box. And we all know Caleb Williams is going to be the starter week 1, but the bet was, if asked, will the Bears name him the starter right away? And the bet was that whenever that is asked and answered, they will name him the starter. Now, for whatever reason, it had been asked at this point. Also, the bet was weird because I don't think we ever decided on what we were actually betting. And in fact, it turned into you challenging me to 20 sit-ups, which I think was going to be the penalty. And I just went ahead and did it right there just to prove that I could do it. So, I think the penalty needs to be that you have to do 40 sit-ups now to double it, which is obviously not happening.
Well, we can't do it right now with our current technology, but we can pay this back off next week. I still want to go back and listen to exactly what the bet was, because I thought that he said that I thought I said that he wouldn't come out and say he's the starter immediately, but a Genius reporter went in there today and asked him if he's been named the starter. And I believe, do we have that audio? Yeah. I believe we do. And Flus did give interesting response here.
Has he been told that he's the starter going into training camp? You even have to have that conversation.
No conversation. He's the starter.
So I look, there's a couple things here. The first is I just want to check in on your feelings, because to lose a bet while also being the one to ask the question, that had to hurt a little bit.
Well, I'm a little upset in Steven right now, because I thought when we played that clip we would have the voice of Carman on there just to underline my brilliance, but That's okay, Steven. Don't
I will give you credit. You asked that question exactly the way that it should have been asked.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but I'm also a little bit confused by the response. Did he just look at him and give him the wink, you're the starter? Or did he just assume that Caleb just assumed that he was the starter when he walked in the building? There wasn't any conversation? I'm confused. How did that go?
He just said
He's
no
the number one
conversation
overall
was
pick.
necessary, and he just answered it in front of the media. And whether he said it directly to Caleb, it doesn't matter. It's out there. It's on NFL.com. It's on every media outlet in the world right now that Caleb Williams was named the starter. I don't understand.
But there was
what you needed.
Okay, well, I'm gonna, when I get my chance to get in with Caleb, a very competitive Caleb press conference today that Hoge kicked off. Congratulations, great job by Hoge. I'm gonna ask him, when did they tell you that you were the starter, or did they not? Did he just give you the wink? Like, I want to know how this went. I know that you're not as into the weeds as I am on this, Hoge, but it's cool. He's the starter. Everybody knew he was going to be the starter. I lost the bet. I'll do 40 sit-ups. That's fine. Next time Adam Schefter takes one of my brilliant questions and throws the answer, I'd appreciate it if you could just give me some credit, Adam, at the Carm here. Just a blind squirrel trying to find a nut here, growing the business. I'd appreciate it if you could just shout me out. That'd be sweet. The show as well. That'd be good too. As a me guy, I can turn into a we guy when the entire show has this level of success.
Love it, Mark.
Gary Ross apparently was there the first time they met with him, and they told him that. I don't know how Gary knows that, but he does.
Gary's everywhere. Nick, your response to this?
But if you're the number one overall pick, Mark, I think does a conversation really need to be had when you don't have another quarterback? I mean, I get it. I get Tyson Bagent. I get it, Mark. I see the face. I know, but there's no true competition for him for that starting job.
So let me get real for a minute, because we're having fun with the bet and all that, and I am glad that it got paid off. But I'm gonna take you behind the scenes a tad too. So the night they drafted him, I was texting some unnamed reporters at Halas Hall because Nick was in Detroit, so he wasn't there to ask the question. But I not only did I want to ask for the content of our show to see if we could get an answer right away, but and this is where I'm bringing this up for a reason, that I differed with some of the other reporters on the team, and I get where they're coming from too, but I thought it was necessary to get asked and answered. And the reason why I thought that was necessary, even though we all know what the answer really is and who's starting, is because of how many times in the past they've screwed this up, where there's been a fake charade, a fake competition, or sometimes not even a competition when there should be a competition. And them like, oh yeah, we got to let this guy develop, or blah, blah, blah. We're not ready to do that. And in this case, I love everything about the way the Bears have handled this. And I love Matt Eberflus' answer today. There could not, it maybe in the history of 14 years of press conferences, not been a more direct answer to a question like that than what he gave you, Carm. No conversation. He's the starter. Next question. Like that's it. And it just gives me more confidence that they have a plan with this kid. They're not screwing around. You get all the reps. You're our guy. And it's sometimes things that are so obvious to all of us and all of you watching this show or listening to this podcast all the time. And we all sit there and we bang our heads and we go, why are they doing this? Why are they not giving Justin Fields more reps in training camp when he should get more? And then, oh, by the way, he's out there in week 2 already having to play with these guys he didn't practice with all offseason. It's just so refreshing that even from a PR press conference standpoint, they just say it how it is. There's no reason to play games. And so how much of that all matters? I don't know, but it seems like it has mattered in the past. So I'm just glad that it's May 10th and we could take all that bullshit and just throw it aside. Doesn't matter now for the rest of Caleb Williams' career. We don't have to go through this exercise that's so silly all summer.
You know, I like the transparency on it too, because, you know, another situation where we could have used transparency is what Nate Davis was really dealing with, right? There was so much speculation and they never really publicly addressed what was kind of going on, and maybe to save, you know, for Nate Davis' sake, but it would have I think led to a better solution at the time. So transparency on the PR standpoint, that was really good by Eberflus to do what he did in answering your question, Mark. And, maybe that's, again, a step in the right direction for this Bears organization, how to handle certain things.
Well, for me, if we're going in the serious direction, it speaks to the talent level of the guy that's in there. He hasn't been on the training camp field. He hasn't done anything. You're the starter because we've watched you and we drafted you 1 overall and we moved on from Justin because you are that talented and we do have our sights that high for where we're going. So, of course, there's no conversation because you're the dude. Why would we have to have a conversation? This is the guy. He knows he's the guy. All of that. So, to me, it's more like they have the guy in the room for the first time in, I don't know, forever. That's basically that's how it feels.
A lot of things felt different today, but I have respect for the way that was handled.
Christian Solid's funny. Hey, coach, you gonna be the coach this year? Hey there, Shane Waldron. Will you be developing the offense this year? I just wanted to make sure that that's confirmed. Maybe that'd be my new role. I'll just ask everybody. Tori, are you gonna punt? Is there any competition with the punter situation here?
Look, I totally understand why people feel that way, because it is. I get it. It's somewhat of a silly question that has to be asked and answered, and not everyone's going to even agree that it needed to be. But I'll tell you what, if Carm didn't get that one in there, I was about to. It someone at CHGO was going to ask that question today. Even if you want to make fun of us for it, fine. I am happy it was Carm and not me, because it felt like he took that L straight to his face from Matt Eberflus, and not Malik Neighbors' L. The L.
There was no L. He. I don't know if he appreciated the question, but he wasn't mad.
I think he did.
You think he did appreciate it?
I bet you behind the scenes they're surprised it hadn't been asked yet, and they were ready for it. Flus was ready for it.
That's what. That's another. Yeah. That was another take. If you get asked this is how I'm answering it. He is a starter.
Boom.
Period. Fun.
Which tells me that they're on top of this. I know I'm probably making too much of it. I probably am. I'm willing to admit that, but I still think it was something that we checked the box on May 10th, and not just because we had to settle a bet. But that was fun.
And again, rookie minicamp, no pressure, no nothing. But the dude looks sweet. He just does. It's a nice looking quarterback. I think.
I thought you were talking about Flus, because
I thought you were talking about Flus.
Yeah.
No, but I did see Flus and Caleb at one point. I pointed out to Nick, I was standing next to him at the time. They had a fairly lengthy conversation at one point, and Flus was doing his Flusy coaching stuff. I enjoyed seeing that interaction too.
Yeah,
which to me is a big deal here too, because the most important guy in the organization is not Kevin Warren, it's not George McCaskey, it's not Matt Eberflus, it's not Ryan Poles, it's Caleb Williams. So you've got yes, he's on a pedestal, but he also needs to be coached. So you both put your pants on the same way, and you're not afraid to deal direct with him on whatever he needs. Maybe he doesn't need anything, but I assume he's going to need something. So Matt, trusting his gut and what he can bring to help him along is big.
100%. All right, I want to get to some more audio from Caleb Williams, Odunze, and Matt Eberflus. Got that coming up next. First, I want to tell you about Circa Sportsbook. We love Circa Sportsbook. Great addition to the local community here in the Chicagoland area, because you get on their app, you check it out, and you realize why Circa is the way to go, because they have tight money line splits and their low hold model. You look up the lines and the splits, and they're striving to be more minus 110. You go on other sports books and you're going to see minus 115, minus 120. What does that mean? It means that Circa's taking less of your money up front, especially on large market bets like futures, golf tournaments, things like that, especially compared to other books. And they're extremely transparent. They want you to download and explore those other sports betting apps, and you're going to see. You compare the lines. Circa's got you covered with the best possible. And Circa Sports does not limit players based on their winnings, like other sports books. And when it comes to customer service, if you have an issue, they have real people behind the Circa Sports brand who resolve issues in a timely fashion unlike other books who use those chat bots. All aspects of the app are run by the same team that runs the main Circa Sports book at Circa Resort and Casino in Las Vegas, which is where we were Super Bowl week. It's an unbelievable place, and they take care of you there if you ever happen to go out to Vegas. If you're here, though, in Illinois, you want to download the Circa Sports Illinois app at circasports.com/Illinois-app to sign up today. Also be on the lookout for Circa events, watch parties, and tailgates. They're with us for all Cubs Friday 120 clubs. If you or someone you know may have a problem with gambling, call 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-426-2537 or text GAMB to 833-234 or visit areyoureallywinning.com.
You got to check out Circa, and then you got to check out True Fan Travel, your passport to the world of sports. Over 8,000 plus fans traveled over 145 trips. Don't just watch the game. You have to live it. Travel to the most sought-after games worldwide, from football to baseball, basketball, soccer, and more. They have custom travel packages that include tickets, 4 to 5-star accommodations, and unique local experiences, making it an unforgettable sports getaway. And of course, you get those exclusive meet and greets with former players, shake hands, snap photos, and share moments with legendary former players of your favorite sports. And it's hassle-free travel planning by travel experts who make sure every detail is covered, from game day to those excursions, and explore the wide selection of destinations featuring iconic sports cities and hidden gems where the spirit of the game comes alive, and the trusted travel partner for professional sporting events around the world. And of course, we are going overseas, going to London, and you can get your flights to London and 4 to 5-star hotel accommodations close to all the action, welcome events, all at our favorite London pub, private boat cruise on the River Thames, and all-inclusive tailgate party, closest stadium, upper level tickets to the Bears game. You know, you've got the transportation as well, the airport transfers to and from the game, on-site trip coordinators, breakfast at the hotel, everything you can think of. You know, True Fan Travel is going to have your answers for all of those. So definitely check it out and make sure to get those deposits in, because I know it's going to start filling up with everybody looking for all the excitement with this Bears team. So check out True Fan Travel.
All right, got some more audio to play here. We also have a super chat from Cuddy. Come back, $5. First super, love the show. Nick, we met in Kansas City at an Iowa bar the night before the game. Talked some trash about Iowa. I'm a UW guy. Sup, Hoge. Sup, Cuddy, come back. Didn't age well.
That weekend did not go well for the Iowa Hawkeyes. I think lost 30-0 to Penn State, and then the Bears got blown out by Kansas City. So it was great meeting you there, and it was a fun time.
Yeah, you got the bragging rights over Wisconsin. That was also one of Torrey Taylor's best games. Big reason why he's a Bear. So let's a couple things I want to hit on with Caleb. But first, let's talk about his leadership, because I think this was the last question of the press conference, actually. Just the process he's going to go. Obviously, Caleb Williams is going to be expected to be one of the leaders on the team and eventually a team captain if that doesn't happen right away. And so he was asked about that process of becoming a leader on the Bears.
Be a great leader, you got to learn how to follow first. So right now I'm following all the vets. I'm following all the coaches. I'm listening, having both ears open and my mouth shut, just kind of sitting back listening. And then, when I get to the point when I learn everything, when I learn the ways of how we do it, the culture, the playbook, and what the offensive line, wide receivers are all doing, running backs and tight ends and things like that, then you can start taking the lead. Then you can start taking the helms of all of it and take the next steps. For right now, though, I'm listening more than I'm speaking and talking, and I'm taking it one step at a time, being the moment.
He also said that, he at one point he said about how he kind of needs to learn everything so he can help coach up the players too. So like at this point he doesn't know all that stuff, and so he's still kind of going through that following and learning process before he can kind of take the reins of being a leader. I love that perspective from him. And then it's also super interesting though to talk about and think about how quickly that process might happen. One of my questions I had coming into today, which I ended up asking Caleb about to kick off the press conference, it felt like during the pre-draft process that the Bears had a built-in advantage with their number one pick and kind of knowing where they were probably going, of giving Caleb Williams maybe more than you would normally give a prospect of your own playbook, of your own system, things to work on. To the point that Flus even talked about how they had given his private quarterback coach, certain things like their cadences and footwork and all this stuff to start working on, and kind of having a leg up here coming into the offseason program, where it's not like today didn't feel, it was his first official practice as a Bear, but it didn't feel like it was the first time he had all this stuff being thrown at him where he was just overwhelmed.
Yeah, I agree. It feels like he's been here for, I don't know, 3 years. Something. He's just very comfortable. It stands out. He also said that he's still learning the names. He's not talking about Rome Odunze. He's not talking about Cole Kmet. He's talking about the security guard. He's talking about the dude that's rolling out the Bosu balls. He's talking about basically giving everybody that is around their proper due by knowing their name, showing them respect, which is also a part of leadership. So he gets it, man. The dude gets it. It's enjoyable to see.
Yeah, and I think just going to the practice, we've seen practices, you guys, where there are those pre-snap penalties, plays dead before it actually gets going, and that wasn't really the issue. There were times where they were kind of just going up to the line of scrimmage, checking the formation, and then kind of getting out of the huddle. But it was fluid. It was fluid for what a rookie first practice could look like, being, all the bad things that could happen from trying to get that terminology, what was happening in those meetings and putting on the field. That's not always the smoothest process. But today, you didn't really see that. They were able to execute the plays that they wanted to, do the 7-on-7s, do what they wanted to do. And Caleb was putting the ball out on time and for most of the majority of the practice. So I think that speaks to the level of preparation that the Bears are already doing before they actually had drafted him. And then obviously it translated even in just day one of rookie minicamp.
Yeah. And look, there are things he was doing for the first time, but I think all of that makes it easier to go ahead and do. So a couple things that are new. Now, I'm sure he's practiced with this maybe before, but not in a real full team practice like today. But he's got the headset in his helmet. They were, he was getting calls through there. Not used to that in the college level. They actually have changed that this year, by the way. It's just on a side note. They are going to start doing that in college starting this upcoming season. But to this point, and that's well overdue. So I'm glad they're doing that. But to this point, that has been one of the small things you do have to adapt to when you get to the NFL in your first practices as a quarterback. You're getting those calls through your head, and then you got to spit them back out. And it is all, this is the first time with the huddle and the full team. And these guys aren't, it's almost even harder, I think, in this setting this weekend because it's a bunch of new guys that are getting thrown, tryout players are getting stuff thrown at them for the first time, where it's not like DJ Moore, is in that huddle. And, I like from my vantage point on the sideline, I have certainly seen many worse practices than we saw today. Everything looked relatively smooth.
I mean, I'll be
Nothing
honest.
looked concerning. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, when they were doing that part of the practice, like getting into the huddle and they'd go up to the line of scrimmage and then they wouldn't even snap the ball. I'm standing there next to Nick. I'm like, can you explain to me what's going on right now? Are they trying to draw them off sides? Like, no. They're just working on getting the play call from the sidelines to the quarterback, to the huddle, breaking the huddle. They had a really good clap, excellent clap coming out of the huddle. It was a very enthusiastic clap. I liked that. And then they went up to the line of scrimmage and, faked like they were going to do a play and walked away. Let me tell you something. That is high-level entertainment. But it was unbelievable. This is what we're doing here. But that's rookie minicamp, man. You gotta walk before you run type of thing. Even this would be crawl before you walk. Yeah,
no doubt. The only, I think, right after Caleb and the first team offense went out and did their 7-on-7s, the very first pass that Austin Reed throws ends up going through, I think, number 88's hands, tipped up, intercepted. It's like that's
No.
okay. There's the execution not being done right there. Poor Austin.
I thought that one was 17. I thought it was Marcus Rogers. Maybe it happened twice. It definitely happened to Marcus Rogers where the ball was thrown to him,
yeah.
through his hands, picked off, go the other way. I'm looking at him like, if I were you, I'd want to crawl into a hole and die right now. That is just a rough start to trying to prove yourself to be an NFL guy. But hey, you know what's the most important play I would have told him if the coach Carman was dialed up? The most important play, the next play. You just move on. Next practice, next show, next thought. Let's go. You got this, Marcus. No problem. Everybody makes mistakes. You know, we've seen Ryan Poles loved Caleb Williams not having his best day against Notre Dame, but how did he handle it? Came right through it. Marcus had that opportunity today.
Just like the next sound clip we're about to play. Rome Odunze on the situation he's in, getting drafted to the Bears.
It's hard to, imagine a better situation, honestly. Just coming in with a rookie quarterback, it allows us to grow together and allows us to, learn this offense together as well. So, when he's studying, I'm there right next to him studying and getting his mindset on different routes and different concepts and, learning his sort of perspective on the whole offense, which is a great way for me to learn because I like to learn, the big concept and then, okay, let me detail it up and understand what I need to do within any specific scheme or concept. So to be alongside him, it's a blessing.
The reason why I wanted to pull that is because it's rookie minicamp and I'm getting way too excited. But I don't know. These two came in together. Why can't they be a tandem that is talked about, right? I'm not saying they're going to be Montana to Rice, Caleb to Rome, but there is something about coming in together and building a bond and doing it together that they're both very, very talented dudes. This could be, it could really become a thing. And they do feel similar to me personality-wise. Very likable and very driven. What are you laughing at, Hoge?
Big Cram trying to derail the show with a $9.99 super. Says, how do you guys like my new Avi? And he photoshopped you over you
on the karate ching.
Yeah, he took your ugly photo from the combine and put it over your own. I don't know if I've ever seen anyone Photoshop
a Photoshop
the same person. It's a different face of yours over your own body.
You know what, Big Cram? It's Friday. It's a fun Friday. It's whatever you want to call it. It's Rookie Minicamp Friday. That's you are allowed to do all that. But Big Cram, we're gonna have a moment, me and you, buddy. We're know that next tailgate that you show up at, me and you are gonna just hash things out. Big Cram.
Fantastic. I am. Let me say this. I think everybody knows how I feel about Caleb Williams and this level of excitement. If you were to just, for a moment, it's the only time I'll ask you to do this. imagine that the Bears only had one pick, and it was the 9th pick. So they didn't get Caleb Williams. They just got Rome Odunze in the first round. That was it. I still feel like my excitement towards this one pick would be higher than maybe any of the picks I've covered. Because this kid just, even first impressions today, which you guys know I'm big on, seeing him on the field, even without pads, he's a big wide receiver. He's got plenty of size, moves very naturally. He was catching some punt returns today. And we were having fun earlier with Torrey Taylor, but not all those punts were exactly easy to catch, whether on purpose or not. And he was hauling those in. His level of engagement, and Caleb Williams too, both of those guys, their way they speak and address questions in the press conference, they're entertaining, they're engaging. Rome Odunze just by himself is an really incredibly exciting prospect the Bears got. And he's in some ways, and even answered a question today about this today, which I thought was a fair question. In some ways, he's getting overshadowed by the fact that they drafted Caleb. And honestly, to the point of the question, I forgot who asked it, but I think that might actually help him a little bit because so many of these number one picks come in with so much pressure, and at least a little bit of that is being alleviated, not only by the fact they drafted Caleb Williams, but they also have DJ Moore and Keenan Allen in the same room.
He didn't want any part of that, though. Like, hey, man, as far as pressure on me, or less pressure because he's here, not really. Like, I mean, he's obviously driven. I'm not saying he's freaked out by the pressure, but he wants to do well. And whether Caleb would be here or not, he's still going to feel like I need to step in here and come correct. I also, again, personality similar. And another thing he said today that was great, I thought, is like, I want everybody to be in this wide receiver room thinking they're wide receiver one. As far as, he was asked about the Kay Adams comments that DJ Moore had on her show. It's about that it's going to be a race to being a 1,000-yard receiver. And he's like, I think everybody should think themselves in the wide receiver room as a wide receiver one. It's impossible not to dislike Rome Odunze. Dude seems like just a great guy.
Yeah, and Mark, you asked him about the goals, if he's a goal setter. He didn't temper expectations for goals because there's two other receivers in the room. He's like, well, there's 17 games. I have to do like the math. So it's kind of like different why he's like changing up his individual goals. So I like that about him. But going back to growing with Caleb Williams, like there was one play where Caleb doesn't throw the ball out on it takes a little bit, extends the play, goes left. Who does he throw that ball to? It's Odunze on the left sideline, where it's kind of like, oh, okay, you can see that being, something in the future where Caleb, who's known for extending plays, finds his guy, and there's Odunze just chilling near that left sideline, makes the catch. So growing together, and that starts right here in rookie minicamp.
That's a spot on observation. Nobody touched the ball more today than Rome did. Rome had it a lot.
Yeah.
But that's probably how it should be. I mean, whether that's just how it worked out, because he's easily the best wide receiver that's on the field at rookie minicamp, or also how, if I was coaching and drawing up practice and scripting it out, is how I would draw that up too, because I want to see that as soon as possible. One more from Matt Eberflus, the Bears head coach, on Caleb Williams.
I've said it before that you can really tell that he's comfortable with himself in his own skin, and he is who he is. And his personality starts, in his light comes out from the inside. You can certainly feel that energy. He's a 1 + 1 = 3 guy. So he's an enhancer. He's a guy that brings out the best in people, and you can certainly feel that within 5 minutes of meeting him.
1 + 1 = 3.
What does that mean? He's a Can you please just underline all of that? I mean,
He's a multiplier.
I'm here for the Caleb celebration. The light comes out from the inside. What is he, Mother Teresa too? Like, this is amazing. I mean,
why was that your Mother Teresa sound?
I don't know. I've never thought about what my Mother Teresa said. His light comes out from the inside. He is, I mean, in essence, he was like, this is the most perfect person of all time, and he's going to make every single person that he ever touches around him that much better. That's where the Flus was at, and it took him 5 minutes to figure out that's the quarterback the Bears drafted. But I think it was who asked that question? Which tip of the hat to
Colleen? I think it was Colleen Kane at the end, right?
Yeah.
No, wait, I'm thinking of the other question.
It was Stacey Dales, I think, right?
I was thinking of the end of Caleb's presser. Yeah.
His aura,
the aura,
the aura.
Yeah.
I mean. Rome Odunze is not being asked about his aura. Matt Eberflus ain't no aura around the Flus.
Nick, how would you describe Carm's aura?
Oof. That's a tough one because it's vibrant and like weird. It's a bunch of things.
Confused.
Caleb's got a certain
aura. Here we go.
I mean, his aura. Dude's been here for 5 seconds. We're talking aura. Like
that's true.
That like it was.
Yeah, but okay, to defend Flus a little bit though, we've talked about that same thing. We talked about it at the combine and how that just felt different. Nick and I felt it at Pro Day when we were at USC. Yeah. We just led the show talking about how, well, we didn't lead the show, but it was in that first segment. We talked about just the vibe inside Halas Hall and the energy, and it was just different today.
It starts with the
Caleb
quarterback.
aura.
It was definitely different.
You're jealous of Caleb's aura.
I might be jealous of his aura.
Yeah.
I might be sensitive. Like Jordan has an aura. This guy has not earned an aura yet. He's not aura. He is not. We are not. We can't aura him on Rookie Minicamp. How's his aura?
Well, we just.
But
all right.
apparently he's got an aura that lights up everybody and the whole thing. 1 + 1 = 3.
You know what Carm's aura is? Carm's aura is switching out the ping pong balls when he's losing by 3 late in the match yesterday, trying to claim that it was the ball's fault, that there was something wrong with the ball. He tried to say that the ball was making a weird noise. He switches them out. I'm not going to lie. It bothered me. It got in my head, and I ended up losing having a match point in hand. I lost. I should have handled it better. I'm not going to lie. I should have handled it better. Doesn't mean it wasn't bullshit, though, because I had 3 different people test these ping pong balls after the match, and they were the same. There was nothing wrong with the ball.
So this is the softest take that anyone's ever had in the history of CHGO Bears, and Adam Hoge should apologize for it. But the ping pong ball made a loud, squeaky pitch voice, which means it's broken. But since Hoge has barely played ping pong in his life, he doesn't know that.
We already decided it hit debris that was on the table from Bragg's dancing on the roof the other day. Which
is why the ball was damaged, and henceforth I got us a ball that wasn't damaged, and you proceeded to choke. And Adam Hoge yesterday, in an opportunity to be one of the greatest ping pong players in the history of CHGO, he had an overhead at the net. All he had to do.
Yeah,
all he had to do was spike it down. He would have won the game.
I missed it.
Instead, he hit it off his hand, and it ended up in Lake Michigan. And now he's blaming me because there was a ball switch.
No. You missed the part where I acknowledged that I still should have won, that I did not handle it well. I already took accountability for that. It doesn't mean that what you did wasn't wrong.
I'll say this. I unilaterally made that decision. I did not consult with my opponent, and I just made the decision because that's all true.
That part was wrong.
Yeah, and to your point,
you should have handed me the ball and said, "Is there anything wrong with this ball?" No, you just walked away. You switched them out. You tried to do it covertly too.
No, I didn't. No.
Yeah, you did.
I was a superior ping pong competitor because, you are my protege, and I just have not, in my mind, put you on the same level as me. So I unilaterally made that decision. So you were disrespected, and I apologize for that. You've come a long way. You deserve more respect on the ping pong table.
I accept your apology.
Thank you.
Wow, that was nice. It was a nice moment there. All right, let's get to some leftovers and some notes here.
Nick, by the way, beat me 21-10 yesterday and there was no complaints.
Yeah, that was a quick one. That was
kicked the shit out of me. Congratulations.
Do we have a problem with the Bears drafting an injured offensive tackle out of the Ivy League in the 3rd round here?
Well, they did know about it. I mean, they knew about the quad injury, but it does seem very Bears, right? To draft the guy out of the Ivy League that's injured, happens to be a huge Bears fan, can't practice on the first day of rookie mini camp. You want to see him against this level up of competition, but probably have to wait till training camp.
Yeah, I'm like, so we're talking about Karan Amagaji, the offensive tackle out of Yale, and we knew about this quad injury. We talked about it. We had his coach from Yale on last week, but at no point during any of this, and I believe the Bears said he was medically cleared during the pre-draft process, which is why they drafted him. And I'm sure now in hindsight, they meant cleared as in this isn't a reason not to draft him. But he's not done recovering from the injury, and Flus said today that he's not going to participate in rookie minicamp and wouldn't be participating in the offseason program, really, as he continues to get over this injury. It also provides a little bit more context, I think, to why Ryan Poles very quickly on draft night said that, more likely he would use this first year as a developmental year before he would, realistically have a chance to become a starter. So I'm not necessarily doubting any of that, but I'm just like, seemed a little bit of a surprise today, us finding like, oh, by the way, this guy's not going to be available in the offseason program.
Yeah, I didn't get super excited by the pick in the moment, but I do like their philosophy, by the way, trying to hit the home run that this guy, if he grows into his talent, and we've had Tony Reno, the head coach of Yale, on, and we had Brian Griffin, the head coach at Hinsdale Central, on, and obviously these guys are speaking incredibly well of Carman, and I'm not ruling him out at all. But it was a little bit odd. We drafted the guy that played 4 games because he had a massive quad injury, who's still not ready to be on the field, but we're so sure about his talent. That's
I guess why didn't they just say that the night he got drafted? You know, the whole laying it out there would have been, I don't know, a little bit. I'm not terribly worried about it. I am into like the vibes of picks when they first come, you know, pretty quickly you pick up on these things, and it's just this one's certainly not as smooth as obviously Caleb or Rome Odunze has been so far.
Yeah, and he was out there at the practice field while some of the offensive line, when we're doing their drills, he was kind of mirroring it off to the side, kind of trying to do some of the stuff there. So it's not like he was absent. So he was out there getting the mental reps. Obviously, he's learning everything in the film room as well and getting the installs and stuff. So there's still valuable experience he's gaining, but you do have to be out there physically doing the things. And unfortunately, you just won't be able to see Carman for until mid-July.
Yeah. And it does matter because this guy who did play in the Ivy League, it has not faced FBS level talent, let alone NFL talent. And, hopefully he'll be good to go in 100% for training camp, but he's going to be thrown in the fire, and it is definitely going to be an adjustment. So any of these reps are big reps. The other thing I wanted to talk about is Austin Booker. We haven't brought up yet the 5th round pick the Bears got after trading back into the draft. Nick made an observation that I totally agreed with. I thought was interesting, but this guy's big, and he's 6'6", tall player, 245. So he's obviously got some more muscle he still needs to put on. But he's like all legs, Nick.
All legs, and I mean it. I think it helps when you're wearing like the short compression shorts, but like all legs is a good way to describe Austin Booker. And, the frame, because I was like looking at him like, okay, he could definitely add more weight, but he needs to do that. And I kind of describe him as wiry right now. He's wiry. So want to see him put a little bit more weight on to, play a defensive end position where you do need to be a little bit on the heavier side, but also have the athletic ability as well.
I was a little bit, I looked at him like, well, you're going to do this in a unique way because I suppose it, his body type, if we want to dream it large, maybe a little bit like Leonard Floyd, kind of, sort of, maybe. I mean, but I don't think he appears to be that athletic.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't think he's.
I feel like Leonard was even thinner.
Yeah, I was gonna say Leonard Floyd was way wirier. Yeah, he was thinner, and that's why they had him more as like a 3. Booker's got the frame to be a hand in third, 4-3 D end. I think he just needs to grow into it a little bit. And, certainly, there's nothing wrong with his body type at all. It was interesting to see somebody that tall with that percentage of the body being legs. It was just interesting, and I liked it. I liked the kid a lot. I'm on record. I liked him going in. We had number 61 on our Bears 100. Bears got value with where they got him, so it'll be interesting to see where that goes. All right, we should get to some super chats before we get out of here. Hope everybody, and I know some people were asking too. Okay, the audio's great, but what about clips from practice? We cannot show those to you on YouTube. They're all over our social media though. And there's rules about how long you can keep them up, which is why we can't use them on YouTube. Just full transparency. So for the next 24 hours, you can consume it all on our CHGO Twitter page at CHGO_Bears and on Instagram in the Instagram stories. Go check that out. Our CHGO Sports account there on Instagram. Just search for it. You will find it. We got a ton of video up from Rookie Minicamp today.
Just a couple before we got the supers here. Shout out to 33, and I didn't even know that when I was watching him today, the two I talked about yesterday. Ian Wheeler's got some shift, man. I was impressed with what I saw today on one particular catch where he had a little juice to him. And my other guy coming out of today, as I was watching offensive line play, Hoge, because you know I'm a big offensive line expert, Nick. David Satkowski. Satkowski.
Sounds like a Chicagoan.
He sound like that's what I was immediately drawn to the last name. Now he went to Stonehill College, which I've never heard of. It's in the NEC, and
He's from Connecticut.
Southbury, Connecticut. Yeah, son of Catherine and Matthew Satkowski, brothers Matthew II and Thomas. There's not a lot of information here about him, but I'm telling you, Satkowski played with a fire today. That is a Nagurski, something. He's a Bear. Satkowski, liked him.
Okay, I like it. All right, let's get to Craig Leach here at a $20 super chat. Says, I'm guessing they didn't have total staff input on his occupational and physical rehab that met the Bears staff's expectations, so they're just being cautious for Karan's sake. That's on Karan's injury. And then Craig also had another one that we already put up on the screen a couple times, I think, but it says stoked, claws out, balls out. Hard Knocks, here we go. Let's go CHGO, $20 super chat. Thank you, Craig. Isaac Siegel jumping in here, $10. Says, Hoge, praying for you and your family, and it feels like we have been talking about Hard Knocks for a lifetime. When is it announced? Thank you, Isaac. Last year went like right up to the start of training camp before we knew for sure that the Jets were doing it, although similar to this year, it was rumored plenty. So, and it seems to dominate our chat here every single day. But you just have to be patient or accept Gary Ross's information as an announcement.
I'd go with Ross. The guy is he's nails and he's our Gary Rappaporter.
Football CF Candy, £9.99 sterling. I don't know if you have seen the CBS reports, but it's interesting seeing stories on how the Panthers overloaded Bryce with info, whereas the Texans slowly built CJ up. When will you guys get to speak to Waldron? Great question, Football CF Candy. And the answer is tomorrow. Good time to promote the fact that we will be on tomorrow. It is a Saturday. We don't care. There's stuff going on at Halas. We're going to give you all the coverage, and all three coordinators will talk tomorrow at Halas Hall, including new defense coordinator Eric Washington as well. And we are planning on another 3 p.m. show following day 2 of Rookie Minicamp, and we're expected to have a special guest on the show tomorrow as well. So there's a little tease for you.
And there will be a diehard overtime tomorrow after the show. It's been scheduled for those who've been paying attention to Discord. But if you haven't seen it, I will be hanging out after the show tomorrow. And, of course, Nick, Adam, Greg, whoever else is invited. But I promise that I will be there with a full notebook of stuff. I got a ton of stuff that we didn't get to today that I'll add on to. And we'll get into that tomorrow and anything else you want to talk about.
Become a diehard at allchgo.com/diehard for all of our bonus content, newsletters, all types of great things. Our awesome Discord behind the scenes where all the fans get together and chat, and that's where you can get those overtimes. Antonio, $1.99 super chat, wants to know, Carm, who is the starting quarterback? LOL.
You know, Antonio, we don't need to take victory laps on things that are just, brilliantly done by this show. Me. Caleb's our quarterback for the next, I don't know, let's go 2 decades.
Love it.
Sounds good.
Love it. Larry Strickland, $5. I admit I was late to letting go of JF1, but this does have D Rose rookie year vibes. Oh, that I love the thought of. One of my favorite years of Bulls basketball ever.
Larry, it's okay to hold on extra tight, even on the way out. I get it. Your apology is well accepted, if that's what that was.
Edward with $10 dollars.
It's a good dollar.
Every time Edward gives a super chat, I forget to look that one up. They're doing what they should have done with Fields. They learned their lesson. This is promising for the entire outlook of the franchise. I agree, Edward. I agree.
Well, and Edward's bringing up an important point here. This is the first time that Matt Eberflus has ever been a head coach with a rookie quarterback. Now, he was with the Cowboys. It was brought up today when Dak got there, and that was a different scenario with Romo getting hurt and Dak stepping in, and then ultimately they're going to keep Dak, and Romo is going to go elsewhere. But it'll be something worth paying attention to as to how quick and the Waldron conversation will be interesting. How much information are they going to flood them with, and the Matt Eberflus has a fairly, I would say, easy job on his hand, but a big job on his hand, and bringing along Caleb. Correct. That
would be the official currency of Brazil, by the way. Boom.
Fantastic.
Oh, I got to do another one here. $8 now. Russell, $10. I think we knew that's Australian. At this point, as a Bears fan, I'm more than happy to see the simple things being done right. Don't try to do anything fancy or try to do too much. Get the basics down. Also, good morning from Australia. Thank you for making sure I don't have to look that one up. Thank you, Russell. We greatly appreciate you. Isaac Siegel with another $10 super chat. Also, do you guys think that the Bears, knowing they were getting Caleb, that Shane Waldron had extra time to alter and tweak the playbook to conform to Caleb better? That was the conversation we had back in January, about when they made the offensive change and, how different the offense might look compared to Justin's the quarterback to Caleb. And I think the fact that I think we now know that decision was made a while ago. I don't think Shane Waldron went too down the rabbit hole of trying to build an offense for Justin Fields. And Chris, Crystal, we'll just what was that, Carm?
I'm confident that Shane Waldron knows what the hell he's doing. Go.
Okay. Thank you for putting that in there. Crystal, $9.99. Hey, guys, just sending love. I haven't sent a super in a while. Thanks for all the content to bear down.
The queen of all queens. You have yourself an amazing weekend, Crystal.
Always a great way to end the show with the super chat from Crystal. Awesome. It was I enjoyed that show. It was nice. It's clean. A lot of great stuff from a practice. Love being back out there on the practice field at Halas Hall, seeing players in their helmets and practice jerseys. Caleb looks good in that 18, I got to say. I was kind of disappointed he wasn't 13, but I think the 18 is going to stick. I think it's going to be fine, you guys. And we got another practice tomorrow. We got the coordinators talking. We got more of the rookies talking after practice as well. We have an interviewer recording tomorrow that we're going to share on the show, so don't miss it. We're aiming for another 3 p.m. show. Like we said yesterday, stick with us. It might not be exactly at 3. Depends on how long practice and the interviews go, but that's what we're aiming for. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe. Good day to have the notifications enabled on the show so you know when we do go live, and we will have all the coverage from day 2 of Rookie Minicamp tomorrow. So and keep it locked in, by the way, at CHGO_Bears, our CHGO Sports Instagram account as well, for all the video that we're going to have coming out of practice too. So you'll be dialed in and all the coverage from everything at the podium as well. For Mark Carman, Nicholas Moreano, I'm Adam Hoge. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.